a slippery, slimy energy that comes to create havoc.
I like it.
Cooties are usually on the person.
Yes.
Cucamongas are in the environment.
We're up.
We're up.
We're on a different link. I will get you guys the new YouTube link, but we are up.
We're up. And so, what did we do? A redirect or something? Or people
I'll handle that. I'll go to the other link and tell everyone to come here.
Oh, okay. I'm going to move over to a new link. Sorry, friends. Sorry, lemon heads.
I love that lemon heads. That's the little candy, right?
Yeah, that's me, boo. Okay. So I have to go over to another. Do I have to go over to another link, or will it just show up?
I sent you the new YouTube link, but the StreamYard link is good.
Oh, okay. I like to watch on both of them. So, oh man,
it's in our text thread. I just sent you the new link.
Okay, in the community post. Yeah, TGIF. There it is. Okay, so we're on the by YouTuber. So sorry. So here's what happened. Just in case you're just tuning in, we had an issue for some reason with YouTube, and we had to go over to another link. So sorry. Now people are like, "Hi, Iyanla." So come on over to the new link on YouTube. Iyanla and I are talking about the journey that I've had on the LIE. I got home and one of the smoke detector batteries needs changing. So if you hear that little beep, don't think I'm lazy and I don't change it. I just walked into the house and I'm trying to get this to you. So thank you, Miss Iyanla. Good to see you.
Good to see you always. Blessings to you.
Blessings. So when you have a day like that, what do? Do you just surrender? What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I surrender. All things are just as they need to be. We set up the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was overworked and overcommitted and running around with my hair on fire. I said, "Oh, God, help me."
Mm-hmm.
And God said, "But you made your own schedule."
That's true. Did he help you?
Yeah, I changed my schedule.
Let me just read this and then we'll talk. So I know on Fridays we usually have our sour lemon special, and I love them, and I know you love them. But this week was just so long, so dark, and so depressing. And I've been trying to get Iyanla on. Actually, you guys have been requesting Iyanla on YouTube. You've been requesting on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on TikTok. And so we have Iyanla. Iyanla, as we had up, at first I said Iyanla fix my life, but then I said Iyanla fix when I got on, she said, Iyanla fix my country. So we want to be uplift your spirit if we can. I need some soul lifting here. And she's the one woman that can do it. So Iyanla, yes, say something. And I think we need a prayer or something, because I know.
We're not lost, Don. We're simply being awakened. We have lived for so long in a level of codependent dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And those systems are coming down and we feel it, and it's frightening. And then, unfortunately, many of the leaders that we look to for guidance are fear mongers. Mm-hmm. And so the energy of fear is so prevalent. But we're not lost. We are simply being awakened to what is no longer appropriate or acceptable for who we are as individuals, who we are collectively. I taught a class recently, and I was talking about the construct of the human body, the number of cells, the number of molecules, the number of energy. And if you've ever heard of the God Memorandum by Og Mandino, one of the statements in there is that there is enough atomic power within you to destroy the world's greatest cities and rebuild them. Mm-hmm. And yet we walk around with our hair on fire. I know we feel it. I know the confusion, the grief, the unraveling of the systems, the uncertainty. And here's the big thing, people, the expectation of ruin. But we take our power and we affirm that. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, what's going to happen? Well, what are you creating with those thoughts and those words? And we're still looking out and not looking in. The noise of the world can drown out the still small voice. I promise you, if you get still and go within, you will be guided moment by moment. When you text me and ask me to do this show today, I said, oh my God, I'll be on the plane, you
Mhm.
know. And then you said, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what I did? I took an earlier plane. I didn't get on the LIE with you. I was in New York. And instead of
Yeah,
getting on 5
I,
o'clock, I got on the 3 o'clock and I'm home.
I love you for that. Thank you. Thank you for that. And you knew I needed this, and you knew that the audience, our, almost 700,000 folks who are part of the Lemon Nation here needed that. They have been asking for it. Every time I speak to someone, every time I do a private chat, when I look at the comments, even the hateful comments, right? Even the trolls, but every time I look at the comments or I speak to people, even on the street, it's like we all need some group therapy. We all need group therapy. Everyone's in need.
Well, you know what? In 2017, I was given a spiritual directive to awaken 1 million people. And I started the process and it fell off. I started it again in 2020, awaken to 1 million people. And I know 1 million is 10 million, but to get 1 million people involved in the conscious choice to awaken to their power, awaken to their light, awaken to a new way of being, awaken to being more, doing more, having more. And so I'm launching Awakening 1 Million today. So when you called me and said, do this, and I was on the plane, I said, wait a minute. There's some of my 1 million people over there with Don Lemon. Awakening, the process of shifting your perspective of who you are and what's possible. I know this looks crazy, but have you ever cleaned out your closet, Don?
Yes. Yeah.
And what does it look like?
It looks good. Look, I cleaned out the closet somewhat. Well, I cleaned out the closet last week. I bought a new rolling rack to put in there. But I mean, right. And then I cleaned out my closet to come here.
Oh, okay.
Things like some winter things and stuff to like sort of clean up. But then, Iyanla, you are speaking to me because I was just on with my mother. And my mother is dealing with, well, I mean, she thinks she knows everything. But we've been dealing with a sick family member. My sister had a stroke. My mom wasn't at home. She was staying with my sister. And then so lately she has been back home because she needed a break. And my niece is staying with her to just, and her husband and her kids are just staying with my mom for now. And my niece said, Mom, you have to live in this house. You haven't been here in a while. And, things start to go wrong, right? You got to use the air conditioner, right? You got to use the TV or you got to use the fire, everything. You got to use it. And I said, and she said, Don, you don't want me to tell you my nieces. I mean, as I was driving here, my niece said, Don, you don't want me to tell you about her closet. And I said, Mom, you should get in there. You got to clean out that closet because as you clean out that closet, you will allow some things to flow into your life and some of the things will flow out. And she said, oh, really? And I said, you think you know everything, don't you? And she said, you do too. And I said, no, I don't. I know that I don't know everything. That's what I do. So I'm sure she's watching. So what do you say? Talk to us about cleaning out your closet because you do allow things to come in.
It's not just to clean out the closet. It's the chaos that happens in the process.
Mm-hmm.
All change is preceded by chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos, change doesn't happen. It's a process. And when you're cleaning that closet out, stuff is on the floor, stuff you think you're going to keep, stuff you want to give away. It's in the bed. You stepping over it to find the phone. It's an absolute hot mess. We're in a hot mess because we're cleaning out, not just out of the society. Because, Don, we had just about hit rock bottom with our behavior and the things that we're doing. When I think of everything in the world, what disturbs me more than anything is children killing children. That we can send somebody to space, but we can't take a gun out of kids' hand. This is a problem. It says that we are totally twisted. We are, stuff is really twisted if we can do that. And that there are people who are so concerned about their little individual rights that they put people at risk. The fact that people are walking around suffering in silence, that their minds are just not aligned and integrated, and we'll lock them up in prison before we give them some help. This is a problem. The problem in the richest country in the world, 64% of children have food insecurity,
Mhm.
that schools don't have books, that we'll lock somebody up for stealing our money, but it's okay for a man to beat his wife.
Mhm.
We're so incongruent with who we say we are. Things have to change, and we have to awaken to a new way of being because we've been entrenched in this dysfunction for so long. So I am really excited that the closet is being cleaned out. I'm not excited that people are afraid because they've lost their jobs. I'm not excited about how this is happening. However, here, Don, hear me.
I'm listening.
This person was elected by the people of this country.
Mhm.
He is not in this alone. He's showing us who we are. But we're so busy looking at him, we're not looking at ourselves. When people start complaining about this one and that one, I say, well, how do you do that? How do you bully? How do you lie? How do you coerce people into your way? How do you do it? Because until you clean that up in here, you give someone like that permission to be your leader.
Mm.
So I know that it's hard, but I'm asking everyone to consider, where is there a truth in me that I'm not willing to tell?
Mhm.
Where is there a power that I'm not willing to activate? Where is there an attachment that I'm not willing to let go of?
Mhm.
The only way we're going to clean it up, Don, is we have to start individually with ourselves. Because when something like that, what's going on out there now in the government, wouldn't be acceptable to 76% of this country. It was acceptable.
What do you do with something like this? Let me put this up. This is a White House edited today. They edited a New York Times article, and this is someone sent it to my social team, and they said, "Would you like to respond to this?" And I did not. Senators meet with wrongly deported Maryland man in El Salvador, and then this is from the White House's official account. And they said, "Fixed it for you, New York Times." And oh, by the way, Chris Van Hollen, who is the senator who went to meet with him, you're never coming back. And so they said, Senator meets with deported. Then they put MS-13, illegal alien who's never coming back. That is so, to me, that was so hateful that I did not even care to elevate it by responding to it.
Well, I'm glad we see it because people are walking around with that in their hearts. You meet them in the supermarket. These are the people that cut you off on the freeway. These are the people that are still walking around calling the N-word or the C-word. These are the people that are beating up transgenders. These are the people that still think gay people are going to hell. It's in the world. So what do? We don't want to see it. We don't want to know it. For me, I'm going to bless that person. I'm going to say, God, shine your light. Awaken them. Awaken whoever that is. Because see, I grew up and I was trained and ordained that at all times, in all situations, there's nobody but you and God in the room. It's either a reflection of who you are or a manifestation of God. So this is how somebody feels either about themselves or about God. It don't have nothing to do with me. I don't have anything to do with that. So what do I do as a being of light, as a teacher of light, as a spiritual technician? I'm going to say, God, I call the presence and the power of your light, your truth, your love into the mind, heart, and soul of somebody's child who is misaligned enough to say that about somebody else's child. Help us. Help us. Divine light, divine intelligence. That's all we can do now. Why, Don? Our humanness has failed. It's failed. Are you not aware that our humanness? Hi, Poochie.
He's just wrong. Okay, so just so you know, this is my senior. I don't know if I got it. This is my senior, and he's 16, and he had pneumonia over the holidays. And so he hasn't been the same, but he's just walking around roaming. He's in a little diaper. And
Hi, precious.
I'm just holding him because I don't want him walking around and just kind of aimlessly roaming.
He looks like my cat.
Tap, tap, tap on the floor. You know what I mean? And he's just, I could put him on the couch and he'd probably lay there. But anyways, yeah, look, I want to, and I feel so bad. You know, as I listened a little bit to the news radio as I was coming, then I finally had to turn it on John Coltrane, and I was like, you know, this is, I believe that might be a little bit better. But the people who are demonizing this man for, I don't know if he's a member of MS-13. I don't know anything except I haven't seen any evidence or proof. And so if the evidence shows that, okay, then, the actions that, not the actions that were taken, he should be deported and he should be dealt with. But in this country, we have to have due process, or we're no longer American. We're no longer America. We don't have due process. And so I believe, what if this man is totally innocent? Okay, fine. But if he is guilty, they could have taken a beat to make sure, and to also give us, some assurances the American people, some assurances that you are following the law. And I feel my heart goes out, whether you're, documented or undocumented, because everybody has feelings. And I want you to listen a little bit to this man's wife on Good Morning America, and then I want to get your response to it.
So that Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, he flew to see your husband Wednesday. He released a photo of the two of them last night. What was it like for you to see that photo?
It was very overwhelming. The most important thing for me, my children, his mom, his brother, his sibling, was to see him alive. And we saw him alive.
Yeah,
it was very, very overwhelming.
Yeah, I think for all of us, we were all happy to see him alive. And what were you told your husband said in that meeting?
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
What were you told your husband said in that meeting?
It was just a message of love.
So tell me a little bit about your husband. How long have you two been together, and what has your life been like with him?
We've been together over 7 years. It's been amazing. He's very a loving husband, an amazing father. And we were just young parents trying to live the American dream.
And we know you were living that dream until March 12th. That's when your husband was detained and sent back.
Thank you, Andy, for that. Look, we're all human beings. That's all I'll have to say. And everybody goes through trials and tribulations. And Iyanla, you were in an abusive relationship, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so there were these
an abusive relationship. I was a welfare mom. I lived in projects. I was a teenage mom. Daniel Moynihan called me because I was walking, living, and raising my kids when he said that Black women on welfare were a menace to society. Me. Yeah. So what interests me is that we call him a MS 13 or 15 or whoever the hell it is before we say he's a father and a child. But it's also very interesting to me that the majority of people being called dangerous are Black and brown people. That doesn't escape me either. But who wants to talk about that? Who wants to say that? That we've been silenced for so long. We're talking about due process. Yes, he deserves due process. We all do. And some of the people who spent 20 and 30 years on death row got due process. Our system is corrupt and it's falling apart, and we're weeping over it, as opposed to taking a breath and saying, okay, what do we need to do to have this done humanely, with compassion? This is not about supporting gangs and illegal aliens. That's not what this is about. There are some illegal aliens running our government, but we won't have that conversation. I don't want them coming for me.
There are some criminals running our government.
Okay, so I'm saying certain things that are just misaligned, unkind, unloving. We say, oh, that's the way it's always been. And then other things we say, no, that's wrong, that's bad. Either it's all misaligned and incongruent, and we're willing to tell the truth about it, or not. And so what's happening, my beloved Don, and I know it's hard. That's why you got to go in. You got to get your strength from within. I don't work for the government, but many of the people that attend my classes and support me, many of my staff work for the government, so it's impacting me too. But the government is not my source and my supply. I don't look to the government to take care of me. There's something greater and grander that I'm a lean on. So we've got to understand what we're seeing out there is a manifestation of what's in here. Maybe not you, maybe not me, maybe not any of your listeners. But again, our country is being led by individuals that were elected by 76% of this country. What we're seeing, Don, is a reflection of who we are on the inside. And I say we because there's only one mind, one life. It's either a reflection of me or a reflection of God. And everything that I see in the world, I can own a part of it. I was a bully. I was a liar. I was a unkind, unloving, unforgiving person. There are people probably listening right here who ain't spoke to their mother in 3 years because they don't like something, or their sister or their brother. You don't think that matters in the overall scheme of things? So we're awakening to just how powerful we are.
There are people like this in the world, and I do have to say, I think that there are lawmakers who are really trying to do the right thing, Ms. Iyanla, and I think Christopher Van Hollen is one of them. Senator Van Hollen, I should say, is one of them. And he talked about how this gentleman, this man, has not been allowed to talk to anyone. And so here it is. Listen to this.
No ability to communicate with anybody in the outside world. His conversation with me was the first communication he'd had with anybody outside a prison since he was abducted. He said he felt very sad about being in a prison because he had not committed any crimes. When I asked him what was the one thing he would ask for in addition to his freedom, he said he wanted to talk to his wife, Jennifer. I told him I would work very hard to make that happen. I told him that in addition to his family, that all of you who are here today were fighting to bring him home.
So here's my question. What we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Just sit and complain and talk about how horrible it is? Because we're still all over TikTok twerking. We're still all over Facebook talking about each other. We're still running up and down. You know, you got to hit where the money is. If we understood how really powerful we are, I know they're talking about the blackout against Target, but then people, I got to go to Target. Do you really? What are we willing to do to create the change? And how long will we sustain it? We do it for 3 days or 2 weeks, or if on our day off, and then we go right back to accommodating the dysfunction. What are we willing to do? It's just, I put up a post many, many months ago. I said, America is an abused woman. She's an abused woman. I understand that. I lived for 9 years in an abusive marriage. And I know what it looks like and what it feels like and how you jockey to you never know when the next punch is coming. You just never know, Don. You don't know what's going to when you're going to get knocked out of the bed. You don't know. And you learn to accommodate the dysfunction as opposed to having a strong no, as opposed to being willing to sleep on a park bench rather than sleep in the bed with somebody that's whipping your behind. I know what that looks like. Been there, done that. So the question becomes, we can't just sit around saying how hard, what are we willing to do collectively? What are we willing to do? No elected official should be able to walk in their office without 1,000 people being there. But, I got to go to work, got to pay the rent.
Well, look, you say again, I cut you off.
I said we are being awakened to really how we accommodate the dysfunction and how we're more comfortable complaining than we are putting our foot on down. I wanted to say on somebody's neck, but I don't want to say that. Between putting our foot down and saying, this is unacceptable. Because
I have been saying on this show that I can't tell people what to do. But I know that and I don't know what anyone's particular personal situations are or what someone's personal situation is. you have to be willing to sacrifice something. When we, our good brother, John Lewis said, you got to get into
Good trouble.
trouble. Do we need good trouble? Is that going to help? Will that make a difference?
Absolutely. And what you got to understand why these people got lost their job, why people are losing their jobs, and why what are those things, taxes, tariffs, whatever. It's all about money. It's all about money. When they say make America good again, they're really saying make America rich again. But to whose benefit?
Mm-hmm.
When children aren't eating and people are sleeping in the street, to whose benefit? And it's all a part of the system. So we need to really look at the system and how we participate in allowing it to dishonor us, to abuse us. We're scared they're going to cut Social Security. That shouldn't even be a question. There shouldn't even be a question. If somebody looked like they're thinking about cutting Social Security, they should no longer be able to get into their congressional office.
You said 1,000 people should be at their office protesting by the time they get there in the morning.
Laid out on the ground, got to walk over my body.
Amen. Amen.
Not just with my sign waving outside. We're not willing to go to jail for it, the way Martin and John Lewis and people who fought for civil rights, the way women were willing to fight. But we're not willing to do that. We're too comfortable. We're
comfortable. Oh my gosh. We're too comfortable now. We're not willing. And we have to remember the things that you're fighting for, because Senator Van Hollen says this is bigger than one man. Watch.
Yeah.
But as I said at the beginning, this case is not only about one man, as important as that is. It is about protecting fundamental freedoms and the fundamental principle in the Constitution for due process that protects everybody who resides in America. This should not be an issue for Republicans or Democrats. This is an issue for every American who cares about our Constitution, who cares about personal liberty, who cares about due process, and who cares about what makes America so different, which is adherence to all of those things. This is an American issue.
Here's the challenge, Don. And this is not an indictment. I mean, as a spiritual technician, I see it and receive it differently. The average human being has been so convinced that they're powerless, so convinced. So we really don't know the power that we have, the power to create change, the power to make conscious choice. I mean, we do it in our individual lives. I did it, stayed in a place that was unhealthy and harmful, subjected my children to that because I didn't believe I could do any different. And it wasn't until I became willing to lose everything that I gained everything. As long as I was attached, I couldn't gain anything.
I have been so enraptured by what you're saying. I forgot that I got to pay the bills, Miss Vanzant. Miss Iyanla. I'm going to put you in the. We'll get back to you in 2 seconds. So, I'm so happy that we have the sponsors that we have this week. I'm telling you, there are no coincidences. That I think the universe is speaking. Iyanla Vanzant had a different flight time planned and changed it because she, I got in touch with her because I knew you guys needed to hear from her. And usually we do like a funny special, the sour lemon of the week, but I think we need some healing of the week. So with that said, we are proud that the Don Lemon Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay. So you guys know how I feel about therapy. I think this is therapy right now. It's about group therapy. Iyanla Vanzant is involved in therapy and she's on this show. It is just as important as your physical health. And so traditional in-person therapy can cost you hundreds of dollars an hour. And that adds up. It can be 100 to 250 or more for a therapist. With BetterHelp.com online, you can what? You can save up to an average of 50% per session. Okay? Therapy should be accessible. It should not be a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense. And you can help from anything from anxiety to everyday stress. So your mental health is worth it. And now it's within reach. So whether you have, if you have issues now, or you think that you're going through some things and you're going to be okay, I think still reach out and check, just check. More than 30,000 therapists. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform and serve over 5 million people globally. It is convenient, the click of a button. You can fit into your busy life, and you can change therapists at any time. So here's what I want you to do. If you are, not feeling okay, or even if you are, just check it out. So your well-being is worth it. Make sure you visit betterhelp.com/DonLemon to get 10% off of your first month. Okay. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DonLemon. So go check that out. I want you to be mentally healthy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. As a matter of fact, there's everything right with it. Okay. The Don Lemon Show is also proudly sponsored today, brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And you guys know that I am a believer, that I am a Christian, that I just wrote a book that released in September about this very issue, about people trying to turn our government and our country into a theocracy. As much as I'm a believer, I do believe in the separation of church and state. And so that's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. Do not try to push your religious beliefs onto me. Those are for you. So they fight to keep church and state separate, just like our founding fathers intended. So I want you to go and try to keep the faith out of our government. Keep the faith in your heart. ffrf.us/freedom, or text my first name, Don, to 511-511 and become a member today. Text Don to 511-511 or go to ffrf.us/freedom, because the only thing worse than someone forcing religion on you is when they try to do it by law. So for membership information, text Don to 511-511 today. Text fees may apply. So, Miss Iyanla,
That's my love.
Nothing is a coincidence that we have these two sponsors happen to be the sponsors for this week.
I love it. That's
and
beautiful.
Therapy is okay. Can you tell people that, please?
Oh, BetterHelp. First, I send people there very often because mental health is health. Your mind is a muscle. If you have a Charlie horse or a pulled hamstring, you go take your naked butt to the physical doctor. Well, if you have a Charlie horse in your mind or a pulled sense of reasoning, you need help. And so many people are alone today. You need an objective third party to help you move through stuff. I love BetterHelp. I think they're good. The Freedom for Religion, I just find them very interesting. And I applaud their courage in standing up. The man in the commercial says, I'm an atheist and proud of it. I said, okay, good for you.
There are believers, though. There are believers who, like me, who believe in the separation of church and state. My faith is my faith. My God is my God. And when if I'm talking about a law, that's different than talking about a religion. You do what is right for you in your heart, especially when it comes to a woman's right to have autonomy over her body. Who am I to say? That's a decision for her, not for me.
Yeah. I was just watching some of the comments in your chat, and I say at all times, in all situations, there's nobody but you and God in the room. So the people that are putting such wicked things there, that's a reflection of how they see themselves or how they see God or how they see life. I'm not talking about God in a religious perspective. I'm talking about how they see life, how they see love. And those people are in pain. They got a pain.
It is.
Because as human beings, we are not built or structured to be oppositional. We're not built or structured to be separated. That's why we stay in relationships that don't honor us, because as human beings, we want to be connected. We want to be close. We want to be loved. So when you see people saying those things, like you said earlier, what do they call them? Trolls. Don't call them and dismiss them. I tell them, get out of my space. But then I also say, God, that person needs light.
I agree.
It's an illness. It's a sickness. And we have accommodated, Don. I'm so sorry. I have to, and again, not you, not me, maybe not anybody, but we have accommodated such ugliness, such dysfunction in our society. And we're seeing what it is now. And until we become willing and ready to literally take a stand for, and dare I say, fight for our freedom, it's going to keep spiraling down. I personally find it exciting. It's a closet is being cleaned out because all change is preceded by
Chaos, turmoil, tumult.
You know, let's go back to 1976, I believe it was. Teddy Pendergrass said, "Wake up, everybody.
Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
No more backward thinking.
No more
Time
back thinking.
thinking
For thinking ahead.
Right. So
The world is changing so much.
no, the world has changed so very much
So very much.
from what the way it used to be.
The way it
There is
used
so
to
much
be.
hatred, war and poverty. Wake up, everybody, time to live a new way. Okay. Is that not the time we're in?
Yes.
And when we talk about how horrible this is and how it used to be and boo, 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 that's not thinking ahead. That's participating in the dysfunction that got us to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up. Oh, I'm awakening 1 million people, but it's people who are willing to do the work on themselves so that they can shine their light onto the planet.
Can we be a part of your awakening of 1 million people? I would love to be a part of that.
Absolutely. You tell me I'm launching tomorrow on Facebook and YouTube at noon because Venus is exalted and Venus is the planet of love. So I'm launching tomorrow. I'm going to talk all about the program. You come in at whatever level you are. Level 1 means you're just starting on your self-discovery journey. Level 2 means that you're on the journey, but you haven't been consistent. Level 3 means you're on the journey, your spiritual journey, your personal development. You're on the journey. You've been consistent. It's time to rise up. Level 4 are people who are teaching and training other people. But now I'm going to teach you some spiritual technologies that you can share.
One more thing I want before I'm just going to play one more.
Okay.
Senator Van Hollen, because when you talked about you said the country elected this person.
Yeah.
So then what is the correct response to this person? Him first, and then you can answer. Here it is.
The federal district court judge in the District of Maryland, where the case first appeared. This is a quote from her opinion. Defendants, and in this case, this is the Trump administration she's referring to, have offered no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any terrorist activity. And vague allegations of gang association alone do not supersede the express protections offered under the INA, unquote. She emphasized this point, and I'm quoting, "No evidence before the court connects Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other criminal organization," unquote. In other words, put up in court or shut up.
So I hate to keep bringing it back to Trump or whatever. He's the leader of the country. And I understand you said America elected this man. So I want people to understand, how do you respond to that? Because we are going to continue. He's going to be in the news every single day, obviously. And that is what people's concerns are about. That's why they come here. That's what they talk about. Please make it stop. Don, what do we do to make this stop? And what do we do? Right?
Well, you know, I was in a relationship for 40 years. One man for 40 years. And I probably knew around year 7 that it wasn't going to work. When he cheated for the 5th time, I knew it wasn't going to work, but I stayed. I was going to make it work. It's going to work. I've got to have it. I'm good. 40 years of my 72 years, Don.
You ain't 72
I
years
about it now. You know, but
you are not 72, by the way, but go on.
Oh, absolutely. Tomorrow I will be. No, I'm just kidding. No, I am 72, but 40 years. I insisted that it was going to be the way I thought it was going to be. And I put up with all manner of conflagration and shenanigans and everything. And we see that happening right now. This person is really, well, he's purposeful. He's tearing the system down. That's his purpose. Okay, people? It ain't personal. He's tearing the system down. but it's showing us all the vulnerabilities of the system anyway. So when we insist, and what we see happening is people know that it's harsh or it's cruel what they're doing to Mr. Diego and the gangs. I thought they were taking out the criminals. This man is there raising his kids and working. What about the man who's been here for 30 years with a green card, a driver's license, and a visa, and he got put out? What about the mother who's been here for 22 years and they picked her up out of her daughter's car? I want to know how they know where these people are. That's number one. Don't tell me that looking in them records. As a matter of fact, I better shut up because I got something for them. They need to
It's not Iyanla's birthday, right? You were joking, right?
Yeah, no, it's not my birthday.
Yeah, she was joking, guys. She said at 72, I'll be 72 tomorrow.
Yeah,
But
no, today I'm 71 and a half.
Iyanla, go finish your thought. I'm sorry.
We have to understand how we are, while we don't like it, how we are participating in keeping this stuff going and keeping it in place. And I honor Mr. Van Hollen, but what about the people we're not hearing about? What about the Haitian nurse that came here during the earthquake and working in the hospital, who got a letter in the mail and say self-deport by this date? I mean, it's going on. Are we just upset because we see that? It's going on, and it's not about him. It's about the fact that the court system isn't working. That's what it's about. Or that we have elected a person who defies the laws in the court. Mr. Van Hollen is in the Senate, and the Senate is powerless. They have ED.
They are impotent.
They need some.
That word does not just apply to sex. Impotent is right, meaning that you have no authority.
What are we going to do? That becomes the question. Complaining, and what are we going to do? And for me, rather than before I pick up a picket sign, or before I go marching anywhere, I'm going to sit, I'm going to get still, and I'm going to say, God, what is my best approach? Higher self, source, creator, Buddha, Allah, Orisha, whoever. Where do I need to go picket? I don't want to just be picking. Where do I need to withdraw my money? See, I was told where to withdraw my money from, and I did it. I did it. And I don't want to denounce anybody, but I'm following the guidance, because what we need to do, Don, is not going to be on the news. Somebody put in the thing earlier, the revolution will not be televised. No, it won't be. But are we gathering in prayer groups? Are we collecting money for that woman whose husband is away? What did we send her? How's she feeding her kids? What have we done to support the federal workers who were cast out? What have we done? What have we done to support them? What are we doing for the children in Mississippi, where ICE went into the schools, took the kids, waiting for the parents to come get them to check their papers? We ain't talking about that. We're not talking about that. And we are applauding Luigi, wonderful, I can't think of his last, Mangione, who shot and killed somebody in the head. That's okay, because we didn't like the man he killed. But what my point is, how we participate in the dysfunction. Either we're going to stand all the way up for truth and light and integrity and character and personal, or we're not. But it's coming down. The system is coming down no matter what. Can
you protect yourself, Miss Iyanla, even with all of this, with everything? I always say you can be informed without being inundated. And, no one wants to have their head in the sand, right?
No.
And live in a protected bubble. But can you protect yourself from all of this?
Yes, I'll tell you a simple thing that you can do right now, because we are so powerful as individuals. We are so powerful that all around us there is power. You can put yourself in a bubble. Bring your hands to your heart, because that is that is your power source. I don't care who you are. You can have as many degrees as you want to, but break your heart and you're on the floor like a sniveling ball of flesh. Right? Here's your power. Breathe in. Raise your hands above your head. Turn your palms out. Breathe out and bring your power down around you. Bring your light down around you. From your heart
Is it my internet or is it Miss Iyanla's? Can you guys?
I think it's hers.
Oh man! Right when she was helping us, the devil is a liar. The devil is a liar.
There you are. There you are. There you are. Okay.
All right, so you were with the second part. You said bring your arms around you, and then you were saying
Bring your arms around you. And what you're doing is you are encasing yourself in your own luminous light field. And you go all the way down and bring it out. And that energy where you're encasing, you're creating an energetic boundary. It'll stay in place for 2 to 3 hours or until you pee. Once you pee, you got to put it back in place. Is that simple? Could you do that 2 or 3 times a day? So that even as the stuff is coming, you're in your own energetic bubble and you get to choose what comes in, what stays in. You do. But we won't do that. That's against Jesus.
yeah. Oh my gosh, the same thing. And that's what people say about therapy. You don't need that, especially our folks. They're like, you just go talk to
Jesus had a therapist.
Yes.
His name was the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And he went away frequently. If you read the scriptures, every few days, Jesus was going off with his therapist.
Asking for guidance. Asking for guidance.
That's
right? Right on, Miss Iyanla. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you believe that we're connected to the spiritual world? And, do you think that folks who have gone on, or that somehow people or things happen that are unexplainable or inexplicable, as they say?
I do believe that we are all connected. I believe that these envelopes called bodies, that when we shed our body.
But I mean, like in signs, like someone sending a sign or that kind of thing. You're like, wait a minute, that can only come from somewhere else. The reason I'm asking, let me tell you why I'm asking. Because let me tell you why I'm asking, then you can answer. Because my mom said she was on her patio the other night, and the niece who was staying with her, they went to Florida for a trip just to hang out for a bit. So she said she was alone, and she went on her patio, and she was not dreaming or anything. And she said she pressed the table, like went to sit down and hit the table, and then it showed up and said, someone is watching you. And then she said she did it again, and she said, someone is watching you. And she said, what the hell? And she said she went back into the house and closed all the doors and locked it. And she said the next night she went out, didn't happen. I was like, Mom, you were dreaming. She goes, no, I was not dreaming, Don.
Yeah. I believe that if we can put somebody on the moon, we can get signs and signals from a higher realm. I believe that. I do. Life, we are living in the spiritual universe. We are living in the spiritual universe. And I don't question anything. I know for the past couple of weeks, my property has been inundated with crows.
She said hers is inundated with doves and birds, and she said every time she goes by, they fluff. She's like, "What is going on at this house?" The screen door closed by itself one day, and all kinds of stuff. Sorry.
Well, she's in New Orleans, right? She's in NOLA,
she's in
right?
Baton Rouge. She's in Baton Rouge, so yeah, she's down there. Same thing, right?
Very high spiritual frequency. People call it voodoo and bad, but it's a very high spiritual frequency in places like NOLA because they bury above ground. They don't bury under the ground. They bury.
So you were saying you got crows? What is it?
I had crows, and I mean they were like screaming at. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? All day and all night. They were sitting on my fence. When I got in the car, they would follow me down the road. I said, wait a minute, hold up. I had to go look up what crows meant. What as power animals, as nature beings, what do crows represent? And they represent protection and change.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I keep saying, drop me a feather, but they won't drop me a feather. So one day I went out on the deck and I said, what do you want? What do you want? I said, just tell me what it is that you want. Tell me what it is that you want. So the next day I was going somewhere and I felt this little funniness in my car. And I said, drove it right over I said, this thing is you know, because I take my car for service. So if it sneezes or farts or belches, they're going to tell me what's wrong with it. So I took my car in. He said, "Oh my God, Miss Van Zandt, do you know your brake line is cut?" He said, "You must have rolled over something. It's a wonder that you didn't kill yourself."
What?
And the crows ain't been on my property since.
What?
They haven't been on my property since.
I told her somebody's trying to tell her something. Something is trying to tell her something. Because I do, look, I believe I'm a Pisces, so you know.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and from down south in, you know, voodoo land and all that. I'm not saying that I believe in any of that stuff, but I'm just saying but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. So do you think she should go out there and say, "What do you want?"
I would tell her, or in her prayer process, whatever that is for her, to ask, what is it that she needs to know? What is she missing? I would ask everybody in this thread to get you a piece of paper and a pencil and write to yourself, what is it that I need to know about my truth, about my gifts, about my talents, about my fears, and how it's showing up or not showing up in my life today? That's a 7-minute journaling process. Because until we get clear about who we are, we're always going to see something wrong with what's going on outside of us. I guarantee you, if you dig deep enough, you'll see. There are millions of us, Don, millions of souls who are willing to take a stand against fear and separation and inhumanity. Millions of us who want to walk in love and light and truth and peace. Millions of us who want the system to be more equitable. Millions of us who want our children to be safe in schools. Millions of us who want people to have a fair shot, whether they're from this country. There are millions of us. My call is, let's wake up and let's get the guidance and support. Let's support each other. You know, I will always support you, Don. I don't care where you go. If you were doing this podcast on a can on the corner, I'd be out there. You know?
Let me just thank you. And I know it's true. And the same for you. The same thing for you. And I feel you. I believe that we are connected. You know who else I'm connected to? In a very Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Oh yeah, that's my goddaughter's mother.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. There's something very spiritual about her, and I am connected to her. I don't know why. And there are other folks who I am connected to, and I can communicate with them once a year or once every day. Yeah. And we always meet. Whoopi's like that. I always meet her. We always meet each other right where we are and right where kind of where we left off. And it's weird when I see her, she sees me immediately. Yeah. And you said to me, whether I was doing this show on a can on the corner, sometimes I think that I shouldn't have this feeling. I am surprised, or I can't believe when people say, "Oh my God, I love what you do. I watch you every single day. I can't believe what you've built." And I'm like, really? Like, do you know what I mean? Should I just accept it? Is that me not believing in myself? Because I started this from nothing, right? And now, you know, we have almost 700,000 subscribers. That's just on this platform. And then we have the TikTok platform and the other platforms that we're on, and you know, the Spotify's of the world and all of that. And we're getting sponsors now. And I'm like, wow, because people told me you couldn't do it without a big network.
Well, why did you listen to them?
I don't know.
People told me I was ugly until I changed my mind.
Yeah,
you know what it is? But let's look at it from another possibility. You were raised up and really got your value and not value in yourself, but your value and prominence in the world through the system. Mm-hmm. And then the system spit you out. Mm-hmm. Instead of crumbling under that same thing awoke in you. It was always there, but it didn't have to be active as long as you had that cushion. Mm-hmm. No, this is what's happening right now. There's many of those people who lost their good government job. They need to go write that book, open that business, start that whatever, do whatever they want. Get off the titty. Get off the titty. You've been on the titty. Get off. So what happened, Don, was your light, your power, your strength, your value and worth awoke and said, wait a minute, I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. And you're no longer dependent on something outside of you to give you your value and your worth. I haven't worked for anybody, and I can't even. I left law 32 years ago.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're being called to do.
Hmm.
And everybody won't have a podcast or won't have a radio. Everybody won't write a book or whatever. But there's so many places where we're needed in the world. So many people have gifts that they're sitting on. They're waiting for somebody to give them the okay to be okay.
Mhm.
No, the system's coming down. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
You know where I first discovered you, right? And where most people first discover you. Well, a lot of people, I should say. And that was I just remember this one episode, and I think you brought in a house.
Yeah. In the meantime.
In the meantime.
Yeah,
And you said, you changed my life. And you said your show is called Iyanla Changed My Life. Because let me just be honest. Okay. So I believe, I think Oprah operates from a place of light. I think that Oprah, you were, I think, Oprah's first person that she brought on that I fell in love with and that I related to and who changed my life. And so other people would come on, Marianne Williamson, that was good. All the doctors, that was good. But you were the one that made me think that that there was something beyond just where I was, and that I should expand what I thought, expand my horizons, and there was nothing that I could not accomplish if I had my head and my heart and my spirit on straight. You know what I'm saying? Because we had that, as Eckhart Tolle says, that emotional pain body that's been with us for centuries, right? Especially as people of color who come from slavery. And so I felt like I need to break those shackles and breathe.
Thank you for saying that, Donna. I really appreciate that, because I'm like you. Sometimes I don't understand. I don't recognize. And I'm so afraid of falling into my ego until I don't want to get into, how great and wonderful. Yeah. Save yourself. Bring your future and your past into the present moment and make a choice.
Yeah.
That's what this means. Save yourself. Yeah. I have some iconic things out there in the world, but I'm so happy for you. You, Roland Martin, same thing happened. Roland Martin had to get off the titty and grow up. I had to get off the titty. Get off. You got a gift, you got a skill, you got a talent, and stop complaining about what's going. And I'm gonna say it again. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And it doesn't have to be out loud in the world. Go in the guidance that you need. You weren't picking in when you got this idea. Let me do this. You weren't calling somebody else bad or wrong when you got the idea. And I used to send you your little text. You okay over there? You might be quiet. How you? I'm praying for you. And I prayed for Chris too, because I thought y'all were beautiful together, and I prayed for you too.
It was once in a lifetime, I believe. Well, maybe that sort of chemistry you can't fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it was for that time. And everybody out there, everybody listening, I want to say to you again, begin within. What is the truth about you, about life, about what you know that you have not been willing to stand in or stand for or stand as? That's where it's going to begin, because this system, as we know it, it's coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And where you fall when it comes down, it's going to determine on how much you believe in yourself, how much you're willing to do it differently, how much you're willing to be different, how much you're willing to let go of. So get in the closet and start. Let me just say this one thing. My son, who, I had him when I was 16, and he is my best friend. We rolled together, One day he said to me, Mom, what is the most powerful animal on the planet? I said, I don't know what. He said, the lion. The lion, and he told me about the jaw span and the teeth and the claws and the pounds and the weight. He said, Mom, what is it that would make the most powerful, majestic animal on the planet?
Mm-hmm.
Surrender. to a human being with a whip in its hair. What is it, Ma? And I know this is a deep philosophical question. And I said, well, son, tell me what it is. He said, Ma, he lost the knowledge of himself. How many of us have lost the knowledge of ourselves? That we've been so caught up in the system of having and getting and competing that we forgot how to be. It's time to wake up to who we be, Don, the same way you did, to get these 7,000 followers and your subscribers.
700,000.
700,000.
We're at 681 or 682. We're close.
Good.
We're close.
To wake up to who you be so that you can be more, do more, and have more. Because the system of doing more in order to have more so that you'll be more, done. It's done. And the longer you hold on, the more you're going to hurt.
The longer you hold on to the titty.
The titty or the what?
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, the titty, the job, the image, the, you know, when I came on, you said, we just have you down as Iyanla. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. Because you know what? When I had to bury my first daughter, my degrees didn't help me. When I had to bury my second daughter, my degrees didn't help me. When I had to end a 40-year marriage, my degrees didn't help me. In those moments, I was Iyanla. And what helped me was my capacity, willingness, and ability to go inside. When I put a pistol to my head to blow my brains out, them degrees and trainings, and that didn't help me. The law degree didn't help me. The PhD didn't help me. The math, it didn't help me. When I was a grieving mother, grieving over the loss of my baby, none of that helped me. Yeah, I'm Iyanla. I'm Iyanla. That's all I need.
I love you, Iyanla. I love you. Look, let me just tell you something. You got where you need to. My dog is going to chew my leg off because it's food time. But let me just tell you how much I love you. I appreciate you. I love that we are connected in such a way. And I don't know how to. I can't thank you enough for doing this. And I would just say,
tell me something you know now that you didn't know when we started. Tell me one thing you know now.
I know now why what is happening in my life is happening because I need to clean out my closet.
Okay. See, now my job is done.
And my family who's listening, they need to clean out their closet too. My mom needs to. You hear my dog, right? And that means the dog is agreeing. The spirit is coming through the dog. Clean out. So I will say to everyone who has been asking me what to do, and I'm honest. Sometimes I say, you got to be, willing to sacrifice something. You should get on protest or whatever. And sometimes I just say, you know what? I don't know. Someone asked me at a town hall the other night, what do we do? And I said, I got to be honest with you. I don't know. And that was the best answer in the moment. But
what I was told to do was awaken 1 million people. So now I may not go protest. I'll bring you some water, but I ain't coming out there to march. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be home getting the guidance to what do I have to teach? What do I have to say? What do I have to do to awaken 1 million minds so that 1 million of us, each of whom will touch 10, that's 10 million, will know what to do. And if you can walk away from here, everybody, knowing, feeling, understanding one thing that you didn't know, feel, or understand when we started, then my job is done. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God. And so, Iyanla, I'm going to leave you up on the screen. I'm going to just don't go anywhere. So look, welcome to all the new members. Welcome to the people who gifted memberships. I appreciate it more than you know. All the folks who subscribe, make sure you subscribe because we're out here in these digital streets without the big, supports of the corporations and whatever. And so we appreciate your support. We really do. And I am never going to put anything up here that I don't believe in, especially the sponsors. And there's a reason that this week our first sponsors were those two organizations. There are no coincidences. Yeah. So let me just say this. You guys know what I say every time when I'm about to log off of here. You know what I'm going to say. But Andy, give it a beat before you knock me off the air, okay? So this is what I will say. Turn the TV off and go clean out your closet.
Oh, and join me tomorrow on YouTube at noon for Awakening 1 Million. I love you, Don Lemon.
That's it. I love you, Iyanla, because that's all you need is Iyanla. That's all I need to call you. I love you as well. And I love everyone who's out there. So thank you. Even the haters. Yeah. I love you too. Happy Easter, happy Passover, whatever you are celebrating, whatever you are, happy that. Now
Happy titty. Happy
happy
titty.
titty. Now turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support.